a plant with more omega-3 fatty acids than any leafy green on Earth. Ancient physicians called it essential medicine. Modern nutritional scientists call it extraordinary. You have probably pulled it from your garden and thrown it in the trash. It grows in sidewalk cracks, parking lots, and between your vegetable beds. This is purslane, and what science has discovered about it should change how you see the world outside your door. Welcome to Secrets Beneath Nature. If you are new here, consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you never miss a discovery. And if this plant surprises you as much as it surprised me, drop a comment below telling me where you have seen it growing. You might be walking past a superfood every single day. Look down the next time you walk through a parking lot in summer. Check the edges of your driveway or the corners of your garden beds where the soil is disturbed and dry. You will likely find a low-growing succulent plant with thick, paddle-shaped leaves and reddish stems spreading across the ground. This is Portulaca oleracea. Gardeners in North America, Europe, and Australia spend millions of dollars annually on herbicides trying to eliminate it. Meanwhile, people in Greece, Mexico, and China are putting the exact same plant on their dinner plates. Purslane grows on every continent except Antarctica. It thrives in the exact conditions that kill most cultivated vegetables: poor soil, drought, neglect. It appears uninvited and unwanted, which is precisely why it survives. We have labeled it a weed because it grows where we did not plant it, but that label says nothing about what it actually contains. This plant has been part of human diets for over 4,000 years. Theophrastus documented its cultivation in ancient Greece around 300 BCE. Traditional Chinese medicine has categorized it for centuries as a cooling herb used to reduce inflammation and clear heat from the body. In India, Mahatma Gandhi reportedly consumed purslane regularly as part of his simple vegetarian diet. Aboriginal Australians gathered it as bush food. Mexican families have prepared verdolagas in stews and tacos for generations. Middle Eastern cooks toss it raw into fattoush salads with lemon and sumac. Then something strange happened. As industrial agriculture took hold in the 20th century, Western cultures forgot about purslane almost entirely. It vanished from cookbooks. It disappeared from markets. It became invisible, just another weed to eliminate. But in 1992, a researcher named Artemis Simopoulos at the Center for Genetics, Nutrition, and Health in Washington, D.C. decided to analyze what this forgotten plant actually contained. What she found launched 2 decades of scientific investigation. Purslane contains approximately 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh weight. That is 5 to 6 times more than spinach. It is the highest concentration of omega-3 fatty acids ever documented in a leafy green vegetable. Her findings were published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition, and they changed how scientists think about plant-based nutrition. Now, let me be precise here, because the comparison matters. When we talk about omega-3 fatty acids, we are actually talking about 3 different compounds. There is ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. This is the plant-based form found in flaxseed, walnuts, and most abundantly in purslane. Then there is EPA and DHA, the long-chain omega-3s found in fatty fish like salmon. Your body can convert ALA into EPA and DHA, though the conversion rate varies between individuals. Salmon contains roughly 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 per 100 gram serving. But here is what makes purslane remarkable. For a leafy vegetable that you can grow in a container on your balcony or forage from the cracks in your sidewalk, 400 milligrams is extraordinary. More importantly, purslane has an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio of about 1:1. This balance matters enormously. The typical Western diet has a ratio of around 15:1 or even 20:1, heavily skewed toward inflammatory omega-6 fats. Simopoulos has spent her career demonstrating that this imbalance drives chronic inflammation and disease. Purslane helps correct it. But omega-3 is just the beginning. A comprehensive review published in the Scientific World Journal in 2014 documented the full scope of what this plant contains. Purslane has more vitamin E in the form of alpha-tocopherol than any other leafy green studied. It contains beta-carotene at levels that exceed carrots by weight in some preparations. It provides potassium, magnesium, calcium, and iron. It contains glutathione, which researchers call the master antioxidant because of its role in cellular protection. Perhaps most surprising is the melatonin content. A study published in Biological Research found that purslane contains melatonin at concentrations 10 to 20 times higher than most vegetables. Melatonin is not just a sleep hormone. It functions as a powerful antioxidant that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Now let us talk about inflammation, because this is where purslane becomes genuinely remarkable. In 2019, researchers in Iran conducted a study on lung inflammation in laboratory models. They administered purslane extract and measured inflammatory markers. The results, published in the journal Molecules, showed a significant reduction in interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. These are key inflammatory cytokines linked to chronic disease. The effect was comparable to pharmaceutical interventions. Picture a person with aching joints waking up each morning with stiffness and pain. Imagine someone whose doctor has told them their inflammatory markers are elevated, putting them at risk for cardiovascular disease. The compounds in purslane directly address the molecular mechanisms driving these conditions. This is not folk wisdom. This is documented biochemistry published in peer-reviewed journals. I want you to sit with something uncomfortable for a moment. Consider the average suburban garden in the United States, the United Kingdom, or Australia. The homeowner plants lettuce, which has minimal nutritional density, and spinach, which is healthy, but nowhere near as omega-3 rich as purslane. They water these crops carefully. They amend the soil. They protect them from pests. Then purslane appears between the rows. The gardener pulls it out and throws it in the compost bin. Or worse, they spray it with herbicide. They have just destroyed something more nutritious than what they were trying to grow. Then perhaps that same person drives to the grocery store and pays $15 for a small piece of farmed salmon or $25 for a bottle of omega-3 supplements. The supplement industry generated over $4 billion in revenue from omega-3 products in 2023. People are paying premium prices for capsules containing fatty acids they could grow for free in their backyard. Something has gone wrong with how we perceive value. The word weed has no botanical meaning. It is an economic and cultural designation. A weed is simply a plant growing where someone does not want it. But that definition reveals our bias, not the plant's worth. For most of human history across most of the world, purslane was food. It became a weed only when industrial agriculture decided what belonged in neat rows and what did not. Think about the environmental cost of this confusion. Salmon farming requires vast inputs of energy, feed, and antibiotics. It generates pollution and disrupts marine ecosystems. Meanwhile, purslane grows with no irrigation, no fertilizer, no pesticides, no human effort at all. It regenerates from stem cuttings. It sets thousands of seeds. It asks nothing and offers everything. Indigenous food systems around the world incorporated wild plants like purslane as nutritional staples. When colonial agriculture displaced these systems, we did not just lose food traditions. We lost access to compounds that kept people healthy for millennia. We replaced resilient abundance with fragile monocultures, then called the resilient plants weeds. So let us talk about bringing purslane into your life. First, identification. You are looking for a succulent plant that grows low to the ground with thick, fleshy leaves shaped like small paddles or spoons. The stems are often reddish. The leaves are smooth and have a slightly waxy appearance. When you crush a leaf, it should feel moist and succulent, and there should be no milky sap. This is important. There is a lookalike called spurge that is toxic. Spurge has thin leaves and releases white milky sap when broken. Purslane releases clear liquid. If you see milk, do not eat it. This single test will keep you safe. Where can you find purslane? Gardens are obvious locations. Check disturbed soil, construction sites, the edges of agricultural fields, cracks in sidewalks, and parking lot margins. In North America, it appears from late spring through early fall. In Mediterranean climates, it may grow year-round. Morning is the best time to harvest. Research shows Omega-3 content is highest in leaves collected early in the day before heat stress. Harvest by cutting stems rather than pulling the whole plant. Purslane regenerates vigorously from cut stems, so you can return to the same patch repeatedly through the growing season. Take younger leaves and stems for tenderness. Older stems become fibrous. In the kitchen, purslane works raw or cooked. Raw preparation preserves the most omega-3 content. Add it to salads where its slightly sour, lemony flavor brightens other greens. Blend it into smoothies with fruit to mask any tartness. Use it as a garnish on soups, grain bowls, or tacos. Cooked purslane appears in traditional dishes worldwide. In Mexico, verdolagas are simmered with pork and tomatillos in satisfying stews. Greek cooks braise it with olive oil, garlic, and tomatoes. Turkish cuisine features it in yogurt salads. Chinese preparations stir-fry it quickly with garlic and chili. The mucilaginous quality that some find unusual actually serves as a natural thickener in soups. If you want a consistent supply, you can cultivate purslane intentionally. This requires almost no skill. Scatter seeds on any patch of sunny soil. Water once, walk away. It will grow. Container growing works perfectly for apartment dwellers or anyone who wants to keep it contained. Use a wide, shallow pot with drainage holes. Standard potting mix is fine. Purslane is perhaps the only plant I can confidently say you cannot kill through neglect. For year-round supply in temperate climates, grow it indoors near a sunny window. Succession plantings every few weeks keep fresh harvests available. Save seeds from mature plants. Those tiny black seeds remain viable for years. Here is a perspective worth considering. What if purslane is not contaminating your garden, but completing it? It improves soil structure. Its deep taproot pulls nutrients from below and makes them available near the surface. It provides ground cover that reduces moisture loss. It attracts beneficial insects when it flowers. Viewed as a companion rather than a competitor, it becomes an asset. We have arrived at something larger than a single plant. Purslane represents a category of overlooked nutrition growing freely in neglected spaces. It challenges us to question what we have been taught about value and waste. If we were wrong about this plant, what else have we dismissed too quickly? Food systems that work with resilient species rather than against them require less input and produce more nutrition. Wild plants that evolved over millions of years contain complex biochemistry that cultivated varieties often lack. The sidewalk crack and the garden edge are not empty space. They are pharmacy and grocery store combined, waiting for us to recognize what grows there. Look at that low-spreading succulent in a new light. See the reddish stems and paddle leaves not as invasion, but as offering. A plant that persists despite our rejection. A plant that contains what modern humans desperately need. A plant that charges nothing and asks nothing except to be seen for what it actually is. Perhaps it was never a weed at all. Perhaps it was simply waiting for us to remember.